I'm an artist, right? So I'll listen to words. If I say entertainment, then that has enter in it. That has enter in it. You see what I mean? So there is something happening when we're entertained by certain things. That's why me personally, I can't entertain. Like I know a lot of females like baddies and they like things off the Zeus network. I can't entertain those type of women because of what they are entertained by. So certain people, let's say people, not even just women, certain people they're entertained certain things like horror movies, right? So certain people like horror movies, and I'm not saying that if you watch a horror movie then all these things are gonna happen to you. No, I'm just saying what you let in to your world, so to speak, whatever you see, whatever you're entertained by, is gonna be around you in some shape, form, or whatever. And if it's evil, if it's not good, if it, you know what I'm saying, if the majority of it is about blood and gore and death and, you know what I'm saying, then a lot of these things find a way to manifest around you. And that's just what it is. And for you to have a life where you went to the army and you grew up in certain spots in not the best neighborhood, to you, unaliving and death may not seem like a big deal to other people that don't experience it like that. And that might just be because of what you entertain yourself or what you put in your psyche, and you were like, oh, okay, yo, like this resonates with me. All the while not knowing that it did anything physically wrong with you because you don't believe in it. And this is what I mean, like when I say intuition, I mean the good intuition that's never wrong. The good intuition that's never wrong is the intuition that steers you to just do right by people. Be real. You see what I'm saying? There's a bad intuition too. The bad intuition is called ego. Now, ego make you do a whole bunch of shit like, yo, I'm not gonna let nobody play me. That's an example of the bad intuition. The bad intuition is, I'm just gonna slay down all these chicks and I'm never gonna have a family, and I just wanna, you know what I mean? I just wanna conquer all of them. That's the bad, cause that's the ego. That's all for self. You see what I'm saying? And all I'm saying is there has to be some type of consciousness to level every human spirit out. And not everybody believes in that. And that makes it hard for people to tap into that self-awareness. It's like the people that don't believe it are more likely going to be depressed. The people that don't believe it are more likely are going to be, you know what I mean, liable to take themselves out in this world because, you know what I mean, the pressure is too much, or they're getting bullied in school. And you see what I'm saying? You have to have a lot of that self-conscious confidence or whatever, you know what I mean? And then you just can't just be cocky though. So
I think, because you mentioned reality shows like Baddies and I'm saying Love and Hip Hop or whatever.
Definitely
like I watch Baddies, but I don't subscribe. I feel like that's the same as watching boxing. You're watching people, or wrestling. You're watching people beat each other up, but that doesn't mean that you should go outside and try to do. It's fake. It's a TV show. It's for entertainment. So you should have discernment, your favorite word, right, to be like, I shouldn't be behaving like that. This is just for television. They're getting paid to play a role. Most of these people don't even fight for real in real life. They're just doing it because they're getting paid, and they're telling them to behave a certain way.
So my answer to that is, okay, when you inspire somebody to do something, it's different than inspire them to do bad, right? So if somebody's a wrestler and then if somebody's a wrestler and then they inspire somebody to wrestle in real life and then they take their amateur talent into the big leagues, that's not bad. But if somebody is, let's say, a troubled kid and they watched a whole bunch of slasher films and then they hurt somebody, that's a problem. And I'm not saying that's what we're all saying. All I'm saying is, with certain things that we let into our lives, we don't know how it is going to affect us if it's not positive. And if these movies aren't positive, it's going to be the same thing.
So let's say there have been children that from watching wrestling, they went and put their sibling in or their friend in a move and broke their neck.
Right.
Or something. So
Right.
it can happen. That's why I said
Right.
discernment.
Mhm.
You need to be supervised as a kid and as
Parenting.
an adult.
100%.
You need to
What I said.
have discernment to
100%.
know that
But
you shouldn't be
but
going
as
out
an
doing
adult,
this.
we don't have that discernment to say, yo, we know this has no benefits to us, but we're still gonna watch it.
There's no
The
disclaimer.
discernment is already the disclaimer is you're grown and you know right from wrong, but you choose to do wrong. That's
You're
the
not
discernment.
wrong. That's not
You're
wrong,
ignoring
but you're
it.
watching
It
it.
is.
You don't
It
have to
is. It
engage
is.
in it.
You know why? Because there's no benefits to it. If there's no benefits to it, we
So
shouldn't be
stop
doing
watching
it as an
boxing.
adult.
The
So
benefit
stop
is
watching
entertainment.
boxing.
The benefit is
There is a
entertainment.
benefit to it. I could work out. I could want to be a boxer. I could take
But
my
you
talents
still watch
to.
boxing.
Because I'm telling you, there's benefits
You
to
can
it.
watch a horror movie
There's
and
no
want to be a
benefits
director.
to watching
You can watch a
boxing.
horror
There is
movie.
benefits.
That's not
You
why
You can
can
watch a
you're
horror
doing
movie
So
and want to be a
inspiration-
director. You can watch a horror movie and want to be an actor or be an
Yeah.
actor.
You can listen
Right,
to music
right,
and want to
right.
make music.
That's what I'm saying.
But what type of movies are you going to be inspired to
It
make?
provides
If you're
an
gonna
outlet.
make, if you're gonna
It
hold on,
provides an outlet. It provides an outlet for the dream.
Listen,
Provides an outlet.
listen. If you're going to be a director, right? What you put out matters now. So if you're inspired by demonic things and you're gonna put out demonic things, is that helping? No, it's
That's
not
if
helping.
you're inspired by demonic things.
But
and you
we're
put
talking about
out
you're
demonic
inspired,
things,
but we're talking
you're
about
arguing-
inspired by
you're
demonic
arguing
movies.
People don't have a choice.
I'm saying
They don't have a choice.
there is no choice, bro.
Most
That's
people
the
that-
choice. The
See,
choice.
that's
The
what I'm
choice.
saying.
I
I don't agree with
don't
that.
Listen,
I don't agree with that.
Let
listen.
me
That's
say-
like the choice of Adam and Eve eating the apple just because they wanted
That
to
was
be
a
God.
choice, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a choice,
Okay.
and look how it turned out.
But
So if the choice is, yo, we're gonna have this thing, and it's gonna be cool, but it's not really good for us because it has no good benefits to it, right? Then guess what?
They said that was
the
Adam's
choice is
fault.
it's bad, period.
But not controlling.
But the
his dick.
discernment is we still like it and we're gonna watch it.
Most people
and that's the lack
that
of
watch
discernment.
boxing and wrestling are not. I think it's a small percentage of people that are actually going out and doing that stuff or even
Right.
becoming a boxer. There's not a lot of people that's in the
Okay.
entertainment industry.
So,
period.
so
that's
let's
a
flip
small
that.
group
So let's
of
flip
people.
that. There's more baddies. People that think
That's
that.
still a
Listen.
small
No.
group
No.
that is in
No.
entertainment.
Let him make a point.
There is more females that think they are baddies than there are people that want to be wrestlers.
They was doing that before the show came on.
Exactly.
No.
Evil. They was being evil. They was being harlots. They was being succubus. They was being that
thousands of
before
years.
for thousands of years.
Right.
So now
What's
it
gonna-
trans.
what's
Listen.
gonna stop
So
it?
now listen. So
The
now
show is just highlighting.
you know what's gonna
going
stop
on.
them? Us.
Right.
You know what's gonna
Yeah,
stop
they
them?
weren't
You know what's gonna
inspired by
hold
the
on.
show was
Hold on.
inspired by
E. He asked a valiant question. He said, "What's gonna
You heard
stop
what she
them?"
said though?
No, because you gotta listen to what I'm
Hold on,
saying.
listen to what she said.
Oh,
Let
here
her
we
repeat
go.
it. No, for real.
Go ahead.
repeat
Finish what you said. And
I'm saying what's gonna stop it is people like us saying, "Yo, we gotta stop watching that shit." That's
Okay.
what's gonna stop it.
You have to say what you said.
So start with yourself, since you.
I do, and I'm telling y'all, and y'all telling
No,
me, yo,
repeat
y'all
what you said.
bullshitting.
Stop. Repeat what you
Okay, I'm
said.
not gonna be personal.
Stop
like you
that.
said.
Repeat what you said.
So the show, like he said, women have been doing this for years or whatever. The show was inspired by real life. It's not the other way around. in
It's
this
inspired by behavior that's been going on
What
for over
stops
a
it?
millennia.
That doesn't answer
What
what
stops
stops
what?
it. What stops us
People.
watching? No,
People.
what stops
She
that
just
behavior?
told you.
But
What
it's
stops that
just
behavior?
told you.
She told us the show has been started
No.
for a minute.
She said that after, and then I was like, yo, chill. Like, let's not make it personal. But she said,
What did she
it
say?
starts with you. You have to. decide
How
to
does
do
it
that.
start with me if I don't watch the show and
Not
I'm telling
you,
her not to
not
watch
you,
the
not
show
you.
and she's
Not
telling
you.
me,
But
oh well, it
not-
doesn't have no correlation.
Not you.
So, but it
She
starts
said-
with me.
It starts with
Because
the
you're
individual.
because you're saying that we need to
The
stop.
individual
So
is watching it. They
My-
can stop watching it. 'cause
my-
they feel like
my-
but
it's
you
listen,
don't watch
listen,
that. But
my
you watch
point-
boxing
my
and
point-
you watch wrestling.
This is my point. That's
It's
my
the
point
same
right
thing.
there.
I think
My
watching
point.
boxing makes you aggressive.
Listen. My point is, this is what's gonna happen when somebody says, when one person says, you know what, I think this is bad, and we should all stop doing
You
it.
don't have
You
to
know what's
start
gonna
it.
happen?
Just stop.
You know what's gonna happen? On one side, I'm gonna hear, well, if you're gonna take out this, then you should take out this. We weren't talking about that. We was talking about this. If we're gonna fix one thing, why are we talking about the other thing?
'Cause
Well,
violence
the
is
problem,
an issue.
listen, the problem is once ego is involved, I don't want to stop doing what I want to do, then it's, yo, what else do you do that we don't like? That's the problem. The problem is, how are we gonna fix something? And that answer was bullshit. You know why? Because listen.
Okay.
Because the people that are, they're gonna say, I decide not to watch this, or this is why, are gonna be combated by the people like Yatu are saying that, hey, if we're gonna stop doing this, we gotta stop doing this. Yo, guess what? If I say boxing, listen. If I say boxing has value and I show you the values, but you can't show me the values in being a baddie, how the fuck are we comparing the two?
Maybe
why aren't we focusing on the most important part?
Okay. If you ask a question, you gotta let somebody answer.
Let me just say one thing real quick. I'm gonna be quick.
All right, I want to answer his question. Well, go ahead and say what you said.
The reason why, to your point about bringing up other things, the reason why I brought that up, because there's a direct correlation. There's negatives, and I gave you an example of watching wrestling, kids watching wrestling, and then doing a move on their sibling or their cousin or something and injuring them. Yeah, people do that. That's the negative. Everybody that watches that is not doing it for their benefit. They're not gonna go out and be a boxer. That's why I said before, there's only a small, let me finish. There's only a small percentage of people in the entertainment world, period. And the benefit for that show for those people is they're getting a bag. And some of them don't stay. Let me finish.
I'll let you respond
and some people don't stay. And I'm not saying that they should be doing it. Yes, the show is ratchet, which is why I say I don't actually behave that way in real life. I can distinguish between entertainment and reality. But for those people, the benefit is that they're getting a bag. And they don't have to stay on the show, because there are people that come up there just to get started, to get their name out there, and then they go do their own thing with the money that they got from that. So that's the benefit for those people.
What I'm saying is, I'm not talking about benefits for those individual people. I'm talking about the benefits for our people. If we're talking about our people, then why are we focusing on how much money that they made? I bet you a whole bunch of people is doing fuck shit and they're making money off of it. That's never my fucking point. My point is, how can we grow from what we are watching and what we are choosing to watch? And I said, my point was, you could grow by having discipline being a boxer. You could grow by having discipline to be wanting to be a professional wrestler. Yes, there is a whole bunch of amateurs that's out there hurting each other, doing things that they're not supposed to do, but because there's no discipline to it, that's why that happens. But what I'm talking about is, there's no discipline in being a baddie, period. You could say, oh, the benefit is to that person, but I don't care about that person. I care about us. I care about our people. And our people can't get benefited by being a baddie. No. If you're going to be a baddie, you're going to have to take every bad thing that comes with it. Being looked at as a promiscuous woman, being probably single for the rest of your life. You never really are gonna find the love that you really want, because this is the baddie lifestyle. The baddies that I know have to go out like Cardi B, where her relationship is public, and then you gotta go through these wild divorces. You got kids, and this inspires single black women materialism.
Or you know what you just did?
I agree.
Hold on. Let me go. I'll let you cook. Yes, there is. Hold on, I'll let you cook. Can I go without being interrupted? I let both of y'all go.
Cook.
I'm not gonna take that long. What you just did, because I was gonna ask you a question. I was gonna say it does highlight what not to do, but you just did that for us. You said it teaches you how to be a single woman. It teaches you. So maybe watching that could encourage some women what not to do, and they could look at like, this chick crazy. Well, just let me finish, because I'll let you go.
I ain't saying nothing.
You feel it though. I feel it inside you. But yeah, like I feel like there is a benefit from anything that you're watching. You may have a benefit, and again, everything really. Because we always talk about spiritual things, but I'm gonna talk about something spiritual. Subconscious. We always, and that's not really spiritual, I guess that really is cognitive behavior or cognitive activity, but let's just talk about subconscious. So subconsciously, you don't think you're taking in images of how this person is destroying their life, how this person looks ridiculous, how this person is not right. Now, a younger person watching it that doesn't have the guidance, same correlation with wrestling or boxing, without the right guidance can lead you astray. it can make you aggressive. It can make you violent. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's okay to have this discipline. You know what I mean? If you go out and you box, or you go out and you do Krav Maga or whatever you do as a kid, to give you that discipline, to give you that routine of working out, eating healthy, doing those things. Those are great benefits. But there's cons. There's, people get hurt. People aren't built for it. People do too much. So those things happen. But the benefit of watching these ridiculous women on shows is that you can identify that these women are actually ridiculous. There's some women that benefit from that information. They do have, I have conversations with women all the time. So they tell me things like, oh my God, I could never be like Drea. You know what I mean? And then there are a class of women, modern women, that agree with Drea's behavior or whatever. The reason I know about Drea is because of women. You know what I mean? And this actually also helps men, because now we see how this woman relates to these women or not. And if they relate to them in a negative way or a positive way. So that, hold on, I'm not done. Let me finish.
I got next at the Smiley.
I just want to say
just the benefit of being able to select a better person based on their ideology. Because if you support what's going on, then that is different. If you're against it, because I'm sure Simone Biles might have watched Baddies or something like that, but she feels like her man is the king, her man is the prize. Those women on Baddies aren't saying stuff like that. It's a culture where if you have strong enough willpower, I'm going back to that you can avoid going down a negative path if you know right from wrong. Because you're watching this shit, you shouldn't be susceptible to just be like, oh, I'm gonna be like this because this is right. There's some women that got a good head on their shoulders, you know what I mean, that will definitely say, yo, I think they crazy. But they watch it. They all talk about it and entertain it. And there are some women, I know married women, who decide, yo, I don't watch that crap. You know what I mean? Whatever. And I don't have a problem with that either. I don't watch that crap, but I'm a guy. It's just like entertainment. Like, I watch wrestling. You know what I mean? But I'm a grown man. I'm not about to do a frog splash off the top of the building. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna do nothing like that. But my child that's 7 years old might think this is a cool move to do on his sister. You know what I mean? So my job as a parent is to be able to be in place and let him know, don't do this because you're gonna get hurt. But I could play with my son and flip him in the air and do crazy, you know what I mean? Whatever. While we're playing, I'll be like, don't ever do this to your sister. Then when he gets a little brother, he might do it to his brother. And I'll be mad because he broke his brother's arm. You know what I mean? But then that's my fault because I enabled it, because not only did I allow him to watch it, I'm doing wrestling moves on him because it's just fun to have a son and be able to do little wrestling moves on him. You know what I mean? But I'm not condoning the bad behavior. I'm just saying that certain people, we talked about this before, so I don't even know, well, I know how it came up, but we know that there's some people that can watch this. Like, I watch horror movies. Like, I love horror movies. I've watched horror movies my whole life. I'm not a serial deleter. You know what I mean? And I don't think I'm gonna ever be one because I value life. But there are people that are weaker minded that may be like, oh, it's cool to wear a mask and go take somebody out with a butcher knife. You know what I mean? I don't think that that's right. But I do believe in defending myself. I watch boxing. I love it. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna let nobody sit here and say, you shouldn't watch boxing because you're gonna be aggressive and you're gonna beat somebody up. I'd be so mad if they said that, because I feel like there's benefits, like you said, there's benefits in this if I exercise those benefits. All I'm doing is getting entertained by it. I'm not going out, well, actually, I do have my stuff, I'm gonna set my stuff up. But anyway, I am not out here boxing professionally, so it's not really doing anything for me other than watching another dude get beat brutally or knocked out or beat half to death, which is like you watching women be yelling at each other, sometimes pulling each other hair and having a scuffle with each other or talking disrespectfully or something like that. That's not good that these women are out there like that, but it definitely gives us good talking points to say, this is what you don't do. And that's my only argument. I mean, you can disagree with it, but I land my plane there. I really don't have anything else to say regarding that. I digress.
And I just want to say, the way it appears is that the majority of women are out there behaving like the women on Baddies, but I think that's just what's promoted in the media. I think there's I don't know what the exact number is, but I believe that there's more women that are the opposite of that, and those women are already taken, and there's not enough men for everyone. There's more men than women, the ratio, and women don't want to share. So a lot of women, they may be good women, but they're single because they got cheated on, and they're tired of that, and that's why they don't want to deal with that or whatever. So that's why. But I think it makes it, even the drugs and violence, I don't think from the men, like in the music that they talk about, and these people that are getting arrested, I don't think it's as a large number. There's a certain subset of people that are committing these crimes and behaving these ways, and it's being portrayed in the media as if that's all of us, especially in our community. And they're now, the kids that are growing up now, it's going to become more like the baddies because they're watching this growing up, and when you're younger you don't have discernment. That's why they talk about the frontal lobe, because you'll do things in the moment and not think about the consequences later on, or you don't think that there will be consequences, or you think you slick and you're not going to get caught, and then that's what, when you're older, you tend to, well, you should. And a lot of people, when they get older, they mature and they begin to think about the future and how their actions can change their reality. And sometimes it could be for the worse, and some things you can't come back from. Like, some people have made bad decisions because they were inspired by there are some people that, there's somebody, is a story, they watched Scream. And then they went and did that. But that was somebody that was actually based off of an actual serial leader. Yeah. Scream. And I think, and there's a lot of horror movies that are loosely based on that. Obviously there's a theatrical part of it, or
but is there an education element to it?
Yeah, I agree with what you said about you can, like, I agree with what Chris said. If you're boxing, if you have a passion for that, if you want to be a boxer, you can watch that and learn and train how to do that. And if you, like you said about the baddies, watching that show, or watching these famous women that come out like Drea and say certain things and whatever, then you can know the women to avoid. So that does help men, and the women that watch it, you see what happens. Sometimes we get to see the consequences. Like for Sean, you see the consequences of being in a toxic relationship between her and Blueface, and behaving the way that you do and getting yourself arrested. They both were arrested with a child. You get to see the consequence of that, and that may stop some people from doing that too, because that matters too. When you see this happening to someone, you see the outcome. If you don't want to end up in jail.
Can I say something, please? So, y'all both are right, but the problem is, what I'm saying is, Now you're looking at it as the people that get inspired by this, right? And let's talk about the older people that watch these things, right? And let's say, okay, it's no harm. You're watching it, and you're watching it to know what not to be. Okay, cool. So now you're watching it and you know what not to be. And you're seeing certain things. And now your mentality is like, oh, well, if the dating pool is like this, because of everything that's like this, I choose to be single. I think it's more beneficial, and you might not be wrong. But if the majority of people start thinking like that, then there's a problem, because now our numbers start dwindling. And why is that? Because we know we need to avoid certain people. But if these are the people that we see around us, if we don't go out to, to court, or like, when I say court, like try to find a relationship for marriage and to be a family, if that's not the motive, if the motive is now because of the climate, because of baddies, because of what I'm watching, and I know who to look out for, and this is all I'm seeing, now you don't want the family. Right. Isn't that a detriment to us?
So let's use that to segue into the first topic. Are women selfish for choosing not to bear children? Oh yeah,
see, tell everybody. That's crazy.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. This is another episode of Get Listed. 30 is the new 20. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you're notified the next time we post or go live. I'm La Hefa.
I'm Chris O.D.
Smiley Judge. But yeah, how do you feel about that? Do you think women are selfish for choosing not to bear children, given all of the points that you made?
Let her go first, and I'll cook after.
I think that two things. There's two reasons. One, I think it is a selfish reason, and then another reason I could understand why, and I think that would be better for you not to. I think it's selfish if you're saying you don't want kids because you're like, oh, it's gonna mess up my body, and I want to spend all my money on me. And although if you feel like that, you shouldn't be selfish if you have a kid, because when you have a kid, it's no longer just about you. But I think that is more of a selfish reason because you're thinking about it from how it's gonna negatively affect you and not the blessing that comes with it. But if you're saying, because there are people that say I don't want to have kids because I think I would be a bad parent, they experience some trauma in their life and they don't want to put that on there because they know that, or they may not be true, but they believe that they're not fit to be a parent. And they could be one of those parents that if they had kids, get them taken away or abuse them or something like that. So in that case, that's selfless, because even though you have a desire, you might want to have children, but you feel like I don't want to ruin them for whatever reason. So I'm putting what I want to decide until I can get better. Maybe you're gonna go through some healing. Maybe you go talk to someone or go through a process so that you can feel like that you are now a fit parent or whatever. And I do think when you have kids, we need to have kids responsibly, and you should be at a point in your life where you're ready the best you can be. You can't be 100% ready. All pregnancies are different. All the kids are not going to be the same. But I'm saying give yourself the best chance at raising a reputable member of society. So if you feel like you wouldn't be a good parent and you don't know why, you're not willing to fix the reason why, then I don't think that you should, because if they're going to get taken away into foster care and then get abused and SA'd and whatever, or unalived, like we've done the statistics on that and how that turns out, or some people give their kids up. They don't even wait for them to get taken away. They go and they're bringing them now. You know how many women have done that? So if you're just going to do that and you ain't going to raise them yourself, then you might as well not. And I don't think that if you choose it for that reason, because you're going to be a bad parent, then you shouldn't do it. But if it's just like vanity things, because a lot of women complain about that. They'll have one and be like, I'm one and done. I ain't having no more because it messed up my body and it did this and it did that. That comes with it. But if you're thinking like that, you're already in the wrong headspace to be able to give your all to your child. And that's what you need to do to give them the best chance at life.
Can I say something now? Something that she said stuck out to me. She was like, what did she say? She said something about they were being selfless if they chose not to have children. I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
No, but because of, what was her reason for saying that? That's important.
Because she didn't want to have kids out here not wanted, basically.
Yeah, being mistreated and abused or getting taken by the system.
So here's my
selfless because you're putting.
Can I say something, bro?
No, but I'm saying that it needs to be stated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when you're disagreeing with somebody's point, and she said a mouthful. So if you're disagreeing with one particular point, which I was listening to that too, that stood out. But I also heard that she said if the person has feelings that they're not going to be a good parent.
And I'm not disagreeing with that.
But that's what I'm saying.
Can I say what I gotta say?
What she said. I just want to add that piece so that people understand where that's coming from and why you feel the way.
And I'm not mad at that
because we're gonna have two different arguments.
But here's what I was trying to say before I forget it, because I'm probably gonna forget it now. There's nothing wrong with trying to be selfless, but what I'm saying is your ego makes you feel like, okay, we can have sexual relations. I can be in a relationship with this person, but I can decide where I want to go. First of all, if you're a type of woman that feels like that feels like you can have sex with this man, and you know that there is not any plans of marriage or having sex, then that's just lust and desire. And there's nothing selfless about saying, okay, I'm gonna have the lust and desire, but I'm just not gonna have the kid. No, that's actually egotistical because you're only thinking about your pleasure. You're not thinking about your future. You're not thinking about your future together with your husband or your boyfriend. You're thinking about your pleasure over all of that. You want to have the pleasure, but you don't want to have the kid. That to me isn't selfless. That's egotistical because now you're just thinking about what's gonna feel good versus what your roles or what you bring to this relationship as a woman, right? Because as a man, if the man wants to have kids and the woman doesn't want to have kids, it's under my understanding that the man is the leader in that situation. So either she's going to submit or she's going to say, you know what, I'm not going to submit. And there is no in between. There is no, you know what I'm saying? Like to say that, oh, okay, a woman is going to say, going into a relationship that wants to be married, that wants to be, you're going to talk about this initially first, and you're supposed to. The men that don't have these conversations, okay, what are your intentions, are the niggas that have kids and they're bastardized, right? The men that have these intentions going into it, this is my expectations. Either you can meet these expectations or not. This is the problem. There is no men, real leaders saying, yo, I want to have these kids. You know why? Because we're doing it like how the senseless, the so-called senseless woman is doing it. And it's like, okay, I want to have sex, but I don't want to have the kids. And then what happens? The condom pops. The birth control didn't work properly. And now you're forced into the situation when you didn't have to be forced into it. You could have used the discipline in general and said, you know what, I like this person, but this person wants kids and I don't want kids, so I'm gonna, no, it don't never get to that. So my problem with what she says is she's not taking account for the person that is going into this situation, making all these rules, but she's not even asking her husband or her boyfriend, hey, what do you expect of me? Because we could nip that in the butt early, and that's how it's supposed to be. To have a family, to get to marriage or to get to that union where, okay, these families stay together, there has to be those communications where, hey, what's your intentions? What's your intentions? Oh, I don't want to have kids. It's over. But how many men do you know do that? This is our problem as men. We need to be leaders, and women need to recognize these leaders. The problem is it's hard to recognize these leaders when we're focused on the wrong types of men. A lot of women are focused on men that they are attracted to. So because they're attracted to that person, they're gonna let them crash out. And then when they mess it up, which normally happens, what do they do? They go into their next situation guarded, and they need to heal, or they have other children, and you know what I'm saying? And it's a vicious cycle. So we have to start putting pressure on the men to say, yo, ask these women what their intentions are. We have to put pressure on the women and say, yo, men, what are your intentions for me? And then it has to be nipped in the butt early, because if it's not, we're going to be in the same situation that we are now with a whole bunch of people that don't want to be in relationships for real, or don't want to get married, and they just want to have sex.
I agree.
Yeah.
Look, well, I never said.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just be quick. I'm gonna just say one thing. I agree. You should have that conversation up front. And there are some women that don't want to have kids that don't even date. So all women that feel like they don't want to have kids are not necessarily sleeping with people to put themselves in position that they don't want to be in. There are, probably most of them are still doing that, but because I didn't specifically say that, like you kind of changed the direction a little.
But that's
bit
what
of
I'm
that.
saying. There's more.
But that will go into the vanity, because I
Yeah.
said looks, how your body will change,
Right.
having to put money to be responsible for someone else. That will go into that category if you're
100%.
doing the pleasure in your.
100%. And there's a lot of people doing that, bro.
So here's
A
my
lot of people
my
doing
answer to the question. Yes, it doesn't matter what their reason is because of the biological need for women. I had this conversation with you already. Because the biological need for women, if you're able, mentally capable, and you don't have feelings of self-destruction, self-deletion, or deletion of the child, then you should go for it. Nobody gets it right the first time. So the first thing that I wanted to really touch on is the idea that you have put out. That is good to have that, reluctancy, maybe, I don't think I'm going to be good, you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean you don't deserve to be a parent. A lot of times, when you have those feelings, it's because of trauma that you probably had. So you got to get over that. You might need to go to therapy. You might need to find something out. And that's the healing process that people do need to do before they get into a relationship with somebody. But you do that before you select that person that you're going to deal with. A lot of times, that's not how it goes. Just like I was talking about earlier, somebody is a brokey or whatever, but not really dead broke, but you making a certain amount of money and you have to live in a vehicle and you're able to take care of your lifestyle. You're not taking away from anybody else's lifestyle, but most women are not going to want to deal with you if you don't have a place to stay. Even though he comes to your house and he gives you money for rent because he's got just enough to do it, it's still going to be one of those things like, don't you want better for yourself? You know what I mean? Women are going to want that for their man. Women are hypergamous by nature. So they're going to want a guy that's either fitting or better than them. It's just how it is. That's why they say, oh, attractive, but you're not where you need to be health-wise to get that attractive guy. You know what I mean? Or, oh, I want to be with somebody that's making a certain amount of money, but you can't do what you need to do on your end to attract the guy that's making a certain amount of money because he has certain things and he can dictate those terms because he works so hard to get what he got. Not saying that, just because a man makes money, he should be able to tell you whatever to do, but you chose him. He got other people he could have chosen. And so he decided, you know what, I'm going to bite the bullet, I'll take it with this person, whatever. Now, when a child comes into play, it's make your bed, that you made. That's how I feel. But you know what happens when you lay down with somebody. If you're not on plan B or you're not doing something, because I believe that people can practice, whether it's lust or what have you. If a person decides they're not ready at this point to do it, and they're not having intercourse to have a kid, they're having intercourse because they want to share that intimacy with their partner, then they should be able to do so without scrutiny or without being shamed. I think that the only thing that really stands in that, like we're talking about, when it has to deal with the child, the idea of this woman not wanting to have a child at all, in my opinion, having a guy that's there, that's with you, that you're intimate with, like he said to his point, I agree. I think it's selfish. Unless you have that conversation and that guy is on the same page. Like, I don't feel like having a kid right now either. You know what I mean? I think it's okay to have that discussion and be intimate with somebody and enjoy the pleasure of the person that you've chosen to be with, but always have that understanding that we want to build a future. There needs to be intention, like you also alluded to. I think that's true. There has to be intention in these relationships. You can't just go into a relationship half-cock thinking that, okay, I'm just going to smash, I'm going to be on my way, boom, a baby comes, and I'm still going to continue to do what I was doing. No. Now you got to pause. You got a child. So now you got to take care of that child with this woman. So now you got to help take care of her, because her well-being, the kids' well-being depends on her well-being, because they stay with her most of the time. And if you really liked her or really cared about her, then you should be like, you know what, I'm gonna do what I need to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we do need to teach our men to be more intentional when they select, and to not just be out here just getting busy, but you can have your fun when you're young. And I would, because their condoms are made for a reason. However people feel about it. You get out there, you do your do, but always keep in mind, this is something that could happen. So if it does happen, it's no oops. You already knew that this was going to happen, so you need to, you know, take the responsibility that's necessary and do what you need to do. Put your big boy pants on. It's time to be a daddy, unfortunately. You know what I mean? And exactly. I agree with that 110%. And I also agree that women's body, their choice, all of that. You messing with a dude, you know the dude likes you. You may not really like him like that. He just got good D, but you don't see him as a father because he's stupid. You know what I mean? Or whatever. You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
You told him to go get you pads with wings, and he came and he came back with a bucket of wings from KFC and some tampons. You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with this dude? But he's not a woman. That's not his thing. So you know what I mean? You gotta understand that sometimes when we get a person, we're fortunate to have that person in our life, but we push them away because of our self-esteem issues, things that we feel inside, social constructs. We let all this manosphere, we let all of this internet shit, we let everybody else's relationship interfere with ours. And I heard from an OG the other day who said she knows, like, you know, there's people that love each other a certain type of way. And some people don't agree with that, and that's fine. I listened to it differently, hearing it from somebody that was a little bit older, that already been through it, and see that people do have to tolerate the person that they appreciate sometimes. It's just like Marley said, like, everybody's gonna hurt you. You just have to decide who's worth suffering for.
That's a fact.
And I believe that wholeheartedly. We put up with a lot of shit as men. You know what I mean? I'm speaking to the men, you know what I mean? But I'm also speaking to the women. Y'all put up with a lot of shit with us too. But a lot of times our things are always keeping you in mind.
They put up with simple shit for us.
But I'm
not gonna do it.
But I'm not gonna rate it.
Women are psychologically.
I'm not gonna rate it because wrong is wrong. I'm not gonna say this is a little wrong and this is really wrong. I'm not gonna tit for tat it. I'm not gonna tit for tat it because I said it because my point is general. We have to deal with
that's
this.
general.
But men have to understand. But listen, this is what I'm saying. Men have to understand. We're not responsible for what the fuck they do. They have to correct themselves. Hold on. Let me cook. They have to correct themselves. We have to allow them to do it. Our responsibility is to correct us. We keep men in line because men are savages. Men are violent. Men take over the world. So we have to we have to step up and we have to police men to protect our women, but not to pander. You know what I mean? Because that's not what I'm doing. Our job is not to protect. Like, come on.
Our job is to protect.
Hold on. But let me cook. That's what men are doing. They're protecting. So we're protecting these women. We're not protecting a woman by her, bro. We're not doing that though. We're
not controlling them, so we're not protecting them.
The reason we're not controlling them is because they don't value our leadership anymore.
Exactly, and that's the problem.
We've gotten to a broken era where women don't trust men and they're afraid, and men don't trust women because look what they're doing to us. It's a back and forth. It's a circle jerk.
Let me ask you a question. How could they trust us, right? If the narrative is, we want you to do this because of this. Well, I don't want to, but then you do it for work. You do it for the man. You do it for the bread, right? So you could do this for your boss, but you can't do this for your man. That right there to let you know she's not listening to you, brother. You need to leave. What's the purpose? Hold on. Let me cook. Now, the problem is these dudes ain't leaving. These dudes are settling. We settle more than these women settle. Because these women are beautiful, right? That's right? So if you a baddie, you're gonna get you a high value man just off of how you look.
But you can't keep
right? If you're not a baddie, you're an average girl, you're gonna get you probably a little bit more decent than you are if you average, right? Now, I'm not speaking for the people that know they're unattractive and they know they never had anybody that anybody else would think is attractive. I'm not even speaking for that, right? Those two that I'm talking about are the majority of women. So now if the majority of women are either average looking, you know what I'm saying, could get a little bit better than, you know what I mean, what they're getting, bad, beautiful women, why aren't we staying together? Why aren't we getting married? Why aren't we, like, why? Like, why is the numbers going down? The reason why is because the only thing that I could see that is different from back in the day is there was a leader in the household. And now, like you said, the leaders aren't credible. So where is the standstill? The change is going to be when women start recognizing the better leaders over the better looking people. And is that going to happen? It's not going to happen naturally, bro. You know why? Because of baddies. You know why? Because of Love and Hip Hop. But well, hold on. The standard of Love and Hip Hop, the standard of baddies, the standard of these things, and we're not just talking about the choices that they're gonna make. We're talking about the romantic choices that they're gonna make for courting, period. If the standards are so high and the average looking female feels like her standards is just as high, then how is she ever going to see reality and get married? She's not.
Can I respond? So, shout out to Kevin Samuels, rest in peace. He brought up a good point. He said that there's like 20% of men that are going to get these women. Women need to understand their place. Younger women are going to get selected because they're able to bear children. Because the older women that probably can do it are too stubborn to do what they have to do. They have to compete, right? So competing means being in shape. Competing means being feminine. Competing means cooperating. Competing means being feminine. So that's what's going to attract these men. The problem is men have also a job as well. So we talk about the better looking selection. I was watching some shit the other day, and the dude was like, the better you look, the less chicks you get. And the nigga said he don't leave his house. He said he's kind of shy. He's a big guy, and but I'll be waiting for women to approach. Like, what are you, dude? Like, yo, you a dude. Like, go up to these women and talk to them. Get some game. Like it's like you get what you get when you put out certain types of effort. And what Kevin Samuels was saying, like, yo, get you a couple of suits. Like, you don't gotta wear a suit every day, but look like you going somewhere. Don't always wear the, sweatpants and shorts. You know what I mean? We both doing it. You know what I mean? But don't always come out like that. Come out a way like you represent something. You do represent something. You represent yourself. The representative that you put out to the public is the impression that you're putting off. And a lot of these dudes don't give a fuck about it. They think that a woman should just accept me because I have a job, I go to work, I got a place to stay. Hold on, I'm almost done. I got a place to stay. I'm responsible on this and that. On paper, we're visual. We want that beautiful woman to behave herself, right? But they're also visual too. They don't see you living your best life. They don't see you moving forward. They don't see the drive. They don't see that. So a lot of these dudes, like he was saying, yo, if you don't got $20,000 in your bank account, you're not doing it right. That's the problem. That's the first problem right there. Even if you don't have your own business, you should be stacking your bread to be able to provide a better life for yourself. You shouldn't be living in an apartment. You should be living in a house. Now he's telling young men to do this. He's telling young men to go and study STEM and get courses in information and user experience and computer and things like that. So he's telling them that these are things that you need to do. He's telling them that these are things that you need to do in order to get these women. And you can decide if you want to get married or not, but you shouldn't be waiting for like 3 years or something like that. You should be trying.
Can I say something about Kevin Samuels?
No, that's not right. That's not right.
Kevin Samuels is very solid, very informative, but I feel like the problem with Kevin Samuels is the end goal was he wasn't even married. And then when his experience with marriage is it ends in divorce, and even if you know what to do. So it's like, to me, if somebody is giving this information and the goal is to be in a black family, I want this information from somebody that's in a black family. I don't want good business. I want good family advice on how to, stay together. And the problem with his is the women weren't listening to him for him to get that to give me that, okay, he wants family. Because to me, it's I was like, all right, well, we gonna cut it soon then. But to me, it was like, it's more veered into, he wanted you to be good self-sufficiently. And the women need to catch up. And if they don't catch up, then, you know, you're still going to get access to a certain amount of women if you're a certain man with a certain lifestyle. And I dig that too. But it's just me personally, I want that family advice so I can stick to how to get that. Like, it's hard to get to family advice when I know who not to look at, and then who not to look at is the majority of people that's around.
The first thing that he tells you is you have to
get you right
on yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
And you'll be able to get the women that you want, not the women that you have.
But I disagree on that, because he didn't even get the woman that he wanted. He's at that point. That's my problem.
He had several women before he passed, and he.
That's not cool.
Hold on. Because you got to understand certain things. Like, first of all, he was married twice. Hold on, listen. He had children, right? He had gotten to a point where he decided that today's modern woman is not marriage material. He had let me finish.
You know what I'm saying?
He had to get to a point where he understands he has to teach these women, and sometimes they're just not culpable. But he did get one that he was with at one point, you know what I mean, that he was dealing with,
and it didn't work.
But she was supposedly the last person that was with him. But in any case,
he was getting
he had
LGBTQ accusations too. So
that comes with the territory. You know, shame and insults, guilt, all that good stuff. But in any case, like, a lot of the stuff that he said was really facts. Yeah. And it was just the way that he was saying it, the way it was received. Like, people didn't like it, you know what I mean? Or why he gotta talk like that, right? But even on dudes, he was really harsh on dudes, because dudes have this false, and this is what I'm on. Dudes have this false idea that some dudes like, oh, it's just supposed to be like, no, you can get the woman that you want, but you gotta move a certain type of way. You might have to go to a certain type of environment. You might have to speak a certain type of way. It's, you know, the whole aspect is not just so much peacocking, but it's really you becoming a better version of yourself, because what you are is not what women want. So you have to figure out what that is if you want those women. If you want to just get with, all right, woman that accepts me for me, then fine. But don't be like, she do one little thing and then you don't want to fucking deal with her. You gotta work with her, because it's a work in progress. And sometimes these women are coachable, but you have to give them time to, like, you know, if you just get a chick and you're not on top of your game, you're not six figures, and she's seen past that and she's fucking with you, in this climate, that's okay. You know what I mean? If it's workable, as long as it's not toxic. She's not throwing things at you. She's not putting her hands on you. She's not saying crazy stuff to you. She's not threatening you. She's not, you know what I mean? She's not putting you in a bad position in the relationship. As long as things are good, then it should be good for you to decide if you want to have children or not. But I also feel like that whole children argument, I feel like that's on both sides. Like, men are selfish as well to not have children if you're able to have children. 100%. But you got to get to a point in life where you're able to take care of your family.
That's a fact. But that's the problem.
You don't have your other phone?
Yeah. I was gonna switch over. I mean, that time now. Because that charger works for this.
What time is it?
9:07.
10 o'clock.
We got bad topics that we didn't even talk about. We've been talking about this for a hot minute.
Let's talk about something else.
Yeah. No.
This is a good conversation, but I mean, I knew this was gonna be deep, but it is a good conversation. But I mean, the bottom line, I mean, we can all agree that in majority of cases that it would be a selfish idea for a woman to not choose to have a child.
Right.
As long as you're able to have a child,
right,
you should try to do that. But you shouldn't just do it with anybody, like, hey, open for, service. Not like that. It should be on some, okay, well,
that's a bot.
I've decided, right, that's a bot, right? It should be on some, or what's that lady named? Bonnie, No, it's an English woman who's a corn star. I think it's Bonnie White or something like that. But anyway, she did 1,000 dudes.
You said Blue.
Bonnie Blue, there you go, thank you. Bonnie Blue. She did 1,000 dudes, and Andrew Tate was talking to her. He was like, "Yo, like I congratulate her because she still like it's crazy. She did all that.
Congratulate her, but he had never talked to her.
Nah,
like
of course not. But he really said like, yo, because at least you're owning it because it's women that's out here doing that.
Yeah,
basically
not getting paid
and not getting paid for it
no
with a chump, with a pookie,
right,
you know what I mean,
right.
or whatever, and they still out here giving themselves out to other people, trying to do the get back with they Kit Kat, you know what I mean? Like I don't understand.
That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like at this point in life, you gotta like judge a woman that put her ass too much out in her pictures and shit.
Right.
Like at this point in the game, like when I was young, we used to look for that. Like, oh, nigga, who's showing it? Who's, you know what I'm saying? MySpace was popular.
Modest joints was what it is, man. Like we always want a joint that could cover herself up and still look good.
Still look good.
Like if you still look good and you ain't gotta do too much.
That's a
like
beautiful woman.
Her to me.
Her
fire.
Oh, yeah. Her is fire.
Fire.
Her is fire.
So modest, like her whole like the way she carries herself, like it's so feminine.
Georgia Smith.
It's so Georgia Smith.
You don't know about
Georgia
Smith.
I don't know about her.
You don't know about Georgia Smith. Georgia Smith is bad. Georgia Smith is bad. Okay. Her, Georgia Smith. Who else is beautiful? You don't even know who the hell it is. I like Coco Jones. I feel like we know who that is.
Yeah, she's cute.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
Oh, what's that rapper name? That girl that raps really good from New York.
Lady London.
See,
Oh,
she read my mind.
Yeah,
beautiful. And don't be doing.
Beautiful.
She did go to Carnival.
Yeah, she's starting to be
a little bit more. I mean,
Yeah,
so
the
is Scarlett.
music-
Everybody's
the music
Everybody's
is now
doing
becoming
it.
more basic.
You gotta show something in the game, and that's what's crazy. That's why it's like I used to be like, yo.
And in her
I wanna
music,
date
she would
me
say
a
that
rapper,
I wouldn't do that.
a
She was like,
I don't know.
she said I go to the studio for, I don't know. She basically would say stuff in her music that's indicating like, oh, I don't do this, and now you're making music saying the opposite. Talk about it, yeah, and what?
That's crazy.
Like,
That's a
my
yeah.
little
My little yeah. I ain't mad. I said that the other day. Well, yeah. But nah, like it's changing the game. Everything about the game is changing, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just hoping that we could make it to Canelo versus Terrence Crawford and the Clips album. Cause it's going crazy, like Trump go crazy on Iran right now. It's wild.
Before we about to dig into that. Before we get into that, is Chrisean's father, politician, lawyer, Sean Malone? Chrisean Rock.
I mean, people be saying
her
these
last
things.
name is Malone. They said Tasiki to her sister, Tasiki. That's what they're saying, but I don't know. They claim
their
that her
last name
father
is Malone.
They claim that their father was on
Chrisean.
On Chrisean's show. The father was up there, remember? And Blue. Well,
Yeah,
I know you don't watch the show, but it came out like he punched. No, she's saying that that's her father. They're not saying that this man is her father. Other people are saying that. They said that man that was on the show was her father.
He didn't really look like her.
I mean, everybody doesn't look like their parent. That's like all the time. But this, I'm saying what she said. This is speculation. Someone made this up, like, and is saying that or whatever. But she said that's her father on the show, and she said Blueface. Her father was locked up, and that's not all the kids' father because she had 12 kids or whatever. But that was Chrisean and Tasiki's father, and Chrisean and Tasiki they look very similar, and the other siblings.
Yeah, but one is short and one is tall. Like
no, but I'm talking about their facial features and the way they talk.
Because they got the same mama. But I feel like I feel like when you get height, it's usually from the man. So if the height was
not
from
all the time,
I'm just saying most of the time, like if you get height, it's probably from your daddy's side. You know what I'm saying? Like and I feel like if that would explain the height situation with this what's her name? Tasiki and Chrisean.
I
Because
think
Chrisean is short,
I think that depends.
but she's
on,
compact. Because she's an
think-
athlete. Like,
I think that depends on if you could have a tall mother, so it don't, or your father.
I
Your
guarantee her mother
your
is short.
grandfather could be tall on your mother's side or something.
I guarantee you her
certain
mother
way.
is short in this specific situation.
Yeah, but you're saying, because you said that in most cases that's not true in most cases, because there are some tall. You can't say
not every case, but most cases.
What proof do you have that that's the
Genetics.
majority of the time that the father is
Genetically, because now we're going into dominant genes. Males' genes is just more dominant.
They're a short guy.
I'm not saying there isn't short guys,
So
but
then,
both parents were probably short. If there's short guys and they came from a tall guy, then you're gonna have tall kids. And if you don't have tall
have
kids,
it with the mom too, is
but that's what I'm saying.
You're
If
saying
you
mostly
listen, if you do
it
have
don't
from
have
the
to
mom,
be you. It could be your parent, or like the
I'm
grandparent,
just saying
or
height
somebody.
specifically. If you're a tall person, let's say you're a tall woman or you're a tall man, and a woman is average height, the reason why I'm saying it's more likely with males because more men taller are messing with women shorter. So if more men that are taller are messing with women that are shorter, then more genetics should say the reason why my kids are taller is because of the man. If more men are taller than their girls, this is why I'm saying this, you know what I mean?
Okay, you gotta say that. You can't just make
a
blanket statement and then
I didn't.
without
I made a statement thinking that we all understood that
maybe the people
more
watching
people,
don't.
more men were taller that picked their girls than everybody on the same size, or men smaller picking taller girls. You see what I'm saying?
They could be a little taller. They don't have to be.
I'm
6
just saying
foot.
average. I'm saying more men that
The
are
average
taller.
height of a man is what, 5'9"? Is that?
I'm just saying more men.
That's really low.
Most of the guys that you mess with were taller than you, right?
I've talked
Right.
with guys that were short. I dealt with guys
Most
that were
of the
shorter
guys
than
that you
me.
talked to
or
was
about
taller than
not
you.
necessarily shorter, but about the same height. They weren't necessarily. But I don't. To me personally, so you can't put me in it because I know women do like tall guys,
Right.
but I don't care how tall you are as long as you're not a little person like us.
But
Like
hold
a
on,
dwarf
but
or
answer that
something,
question
then-
specifically. Most of the men that you dated were taller than you.
But I don't.
Why is
I'm
it
not,
but?
Because I don't know. I haven't
You
counted
don't
and said
know?
how many guys have I dated that were tall and how many were short. Like I never put that into consideration because that's not something that I value in the relationship. You
So
understand
so
what I'm
let's do it.
saying?
Let's do it
So
right now. Let's just think about.
I have encounters in my
Think
mind
about
of
four
both.
random men that you